Okay people, welcome back to chapter 2 of the British Israelites, or Evidences of our Hebrew Origin. So far it's been quite an interesting book. Even the first chapter has raised interest among my subs. They want a link to the book, so I'll leave that in the description below people, and you can read ahead if you like, or you can just plod along with me bit by bit. Anyway, back to the book. Chapter 2, Genealogical Evidence. I have made a covenant with my chosen. I have sworn unto David my servant. Thy seed will I establish forever, and build up thy throne to all generations. This is from Psalms 3, 4, 29, 35, 36. David shall never want a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel. In the Herald's College, London is an ancient manuscript tracing the Saxon kings to Odin and David. With the aid of this MS and other important works, such as Anderson's Royal Genealogies, Keating's History of Ireland, Lavoison's Genealogical and Historical Atlas, the Reverend A.B. Grimaldi has compiled the following complete genealogy of Her Most Gracious Majesty, Queen Victoria, Empress of India. So, to be honest guys, I'm not sure how old this book is. I'll need to check that one up. Right, Adam to Jesse, generations, 1. So you start with Adam and Eve. Then you have Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Shem, Arphaxad, Salah, Heber, Peleg, Reu, Serug, Nahor, Terah, Abraham, and Sarah. Then you've got Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob and Leah, Judah and Tamar, Hezron, Aram, Amminadab, Nahshon, Salmon, Boaz, and Ruth, Obed, Jesse. So the kings of all Israel and Judah. 32, King David, Bathsheba, King Solomon, Nama. Then you've got the kings of Judah, K. Rehoboam, Makkah. Then you have 35, K. Abijam, 36, K. Asa, Azubah. Then you've got 37, K. Jehoshaphat. Then you have 38, K. Jehoram, Athaliah. 39, K. Ahaziah, Zebiah, K. Joash, Jehoadan, then 41, K. Amaziah, Jecholiah. 42, K. Uzziah, Jerushah. 43, K. Jotham. 44, K. Ahaz, K. Hezekiah, Hephzibah, then K. Manasseh, Meshulemeth. 47, K. Amon, Jedediah. 48, K. Josiah, Hamutah. 49, K. Zedekiah. Then you have the kings of Ireland, K. Echoed II, the Heremon. 580 BC. Tia-Tefe reigned 15 years. 51, K. Iriel-Fe. 52, K. Ithriel reigned 20 years. In the pedigree of Our Most Gracious Queen. 53, it continues to 53. Pholian and K. Tigger-Mas reigned 50 years. Ain Botha, Smyrgil, K. Ficat, Labrain. I've actually seen this list before. I've maybe even said this list on the video before. K. Ongus, Olmaced, Maon, K. Roththekta, reigned 25 years. Dain, K. Sorna, Sogalak, Aloyola, Olcheon, K. Galakad, K. Odain, Glass. 66, K. Simeon, Break. 67, K. Muridak, Bolgrak. 68, K. Ficat, Tolgrak. 69, K. Duak, Ledrak. 70, Ukid, Bugelcry. 71, Ugadain, More the Great. 72, K. Koktat, Kolbreg. 73, Millage. 74, K. Jaran, Glufathak. 75, K. Conla, Craig, Kilgach, reigned 4 years. K. Oloila, Kes Faklak. K. Iked, Fotlenthan. K. Ongos, Turmhich, Temhark. The list just goes on and on and on. You've got, I'll skip a few of them, but you can see here, guys, I'll be here all night. Number 100 is an interesting one. Nile of the Nine Hostages. Then you've got the Kings of Argyleshire. K. Fergus Mor Mac Erka. K. Dongard, K. Conrad, K. Aidan, K. Eugene. K. Donald, K. Dongard, K. Eugene. Findan, K. Eugene. Spondan, K. Et Finis, Fergina, K. Echias, Fergusia, K. Alpin, Kenneth MacAlpin. That's where the MacAlpin line comes from. Then you've got the sovereigns of Scotland, and it's somewhere in here. It's somewhere in here. I think it could be David. Not sure. I think it is. I think it's King David, 1153. It's maybe when the Duncan line ended. This is when you had the Norman kings. The Norman kings came in, and they weren't Scottish. The true Scottish line, I'm not sure if it completely died out, but this was the Norman takeover. Norman times. This could have been the first Crusades. Anyway, that's a different story. Sovereigns of Great Britain. You got King James, Stuart, right up to Queen Victoria, Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg. The daughters of Jerusalem. Tefi, the Hebrew princess. From the above genealogy, it might be observed that the weak point lies in connecting the last of the kings of Judah, viz. Zedekiah with King Iked II, the Hermon, king of Ulster, Ireland. The following is evidence in support of the connection through Tefi, the Hebrew princess. Ezekiel. Thus saith the Lord, I will also take of the highest branch, the tribe of Judah, of the high cedar of the nation of Israel, and will set it. I will crop from the top of his young twigs. I will take from the descendants of David a tender one, a daughter, and will plant it upon a high mountain and eminent, and place her upon a vast and glorious throne. In the mountains of the height of Israel will I plant it. And in brackets here it's obvious got the, I think it's a metaphorical, upon the throne of the nation of Israel I will establish her. So I think this is a literal. I think this is meant to be metaphorical, and this is actually the literal. And it shall bring forth boughs and bear fruit, colonize and be a goodly cedar, a glorious nation. and under it shall dwell all fowl of every wing. Under its protection shall people of every nation come. In the shadow of the branches, under the protection of our colonies, thereof shall they dwell, and all the trees, the nations of the field, the earth, shall know that I, the Lord, have brought it down, the high tree, kingdom of Judah, have exalted the low tree, the kingdom of Israel, have dried up the green tree, have broken up the nation of Judah, and have made the dry tree to flourish, caused Israel to reunite and be prosperous. I, the Lord, have spoken it and have done it. When the Jews were carried away captive unto Babylon, Zedekiah the king had his eyes put out. His sons were slain, and his brother Jehoiakim's son Jehoiachin reigned over Judah during a portion of their captivity, but there was a curse upon Jehoiakim's race, saying, He shall have none to sit upon the throne of David. Hence Zedekiah's daughters remained only to carry on the line of David, as promised by God and in Jeremiah. Thus saith the Lord, David shall never want a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel. And in Micah, the kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. We find that immediately after the captivity of Judah, Ishmael carries away captive the king's daughters and all the people that remained in Mizpah, and departed to go over to Ammonites. They are rescued by Johanan, who asks Jeremiah to pray unto the Lord for all this remnant. They are commanded to remain in Jerusalem and not to go into Egypt, but they disobey, for Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces took all the remnants of Judah, men and women and children, and the king's daughters, and Jeremiah the prophet, and Barak the son of Neriah, so they came into the land of Egypt. Note, Barak was Jeremiah's scribe. This was about 587 BC. Jeremiah rebukes them, pronounces God's curse upon them for their disobedience, and foretells that a small number that escape the sword shall return out of the land of Egypt into the land of Judah. The prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah, see, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdom, to root out, and to pull down, and to destroy, and to throw down, to build, and to plant. Thus commissioned, Jeremiah was further commanded not to marry. Jeremiah, Barak, and Zedekiah's daughters are then lost sight of from scripture history, except in that in Jeremiah the prophet tells his scribe Barak that his life was given to him for a prey in all places whither he was to go. In 2 Maccabees, we are also informed that Jeremiah went to the hill that Moses climbed up before dying, and there in a hollow cave he hid the tabernacle, the ark, and the altar of incense, and closed the entrance. We think that the remarkable individual mentioned in Irish history is Olam Fola, a prophet and teacher of God, such being the meaning of Olam of Allah, who arrived a few years after the events narrated relating to the Babylonian captivity, 580 BC, with large numbers of Hebrews and certain Phoenician ships, then carrying on a considerable trade with England and Ireland, was no other than the prophet Jeremiah. He had with him a scribe named Barak, and a Hebrew princess named Tehatefe, and a stone called Leah-Phel, the stone of destiny. King Eochaid, the Heremon horseman of Ulster, married the princess Tehatefe, agreeing to abandon the worship of Baal, to accept the Decalogue, or 10 Commandments, and to establish a school of the Olams, or teachers, in the island of Davenish, Lough Erin, County Fermanagh. There is a round tower similar to other towers found in Ireland, which are generally received as connected with the ancient Oriental customs of the people as worshippers of Baal, and an old cemetery in which a tomb of solid rock called Jeremiah's tomb from the remotest times. That's interesting. I think that could be the first time I've heard of a tomb in Ireland of one of the the prophets. Is he a prophet? A tomb of solid rock called Jeremiah's tomb. Where's this? In the island of Davenish, Lough, Erin, County Fermanagh, there is a round tower. Right. Let's have a look at this tower, guys. Let's have a wee look. Round tower at Davenish Island. That's pretty. I wonder how old it is. Davenish Island. Davenish or Devenish, from Irish Dame Hinnis, meaning Ox Island. See, that's what the whole Baal worship is. An island in Lower Lough Erne, County Fermanagh, Northern Ireland, a line roughly north-south. It is about 1¼ miles long and 2/3 of a mile wide. The main place to catch a ferry to the island is at Trory Point, just outside Enniskillen. Davenish Island is owned by the Kilravok Christian Trust. Ooh. Do you know what? I've never heard of this place. I've seen similar style church towers like this in my own area. Davenish contains one of the finest monastic sites in Northern Ireland. A round tower thought to date from the 12th century is situated on the island, are as the walls of the oratory of St. Molaise, who established the monastery in the 6th century on a pilgrim route to Croagh Patrick in County Mayo. It became a centre of scholarship, and although raided by Vikings in 837 and burned in 1157, it later flourished as the site of a parish church and St. Mary's Augustinian Priory. Nice. It seems quite an important site, so I'll look into that later. So what's he saying about the tower? In the island of Davenish, Lough Erin, County Fermanagh, there is a round tower similar to other towers found in Ireland, which are generally received as connected with the ancient Oriental customs of the people as worshippers of Baal, and an old cemetery, in which is a tomb of solid rock called Jeremiah's tomb. And this is Stony Destiny, this is where it sits in the chair. But I've never heard of this tomb either. I will have a look for this tomb. Solid rock tomb. Jeremiah's tomb. Let's see. Let's see. There's no Jeremiah's tomb here. House of Glory, Jeremiah dwelt among his kinsmen in Northern Ireland. See this one? That's in a book. It's probably the book I'm reading. No, it's not. It's not the book I'm reading, but it's in another book it's mentioned. Anyway, back to the actual book itself. And that was it there. Right. Leah failed the Stone of Destiny, and apparently I've seen this, but there's rumours it was a fake. So the coronation chair in Jacob's Stone in Westminster Abbey. This ancient historical stone now resting in Westminster Abbey is not anymore, it's in Scotland. Beneath the coronation chair is known also as Jacob's Stone, the stone of Scone, the coronation stone, and is believed to be one of the very stones that the patriarch rested his head upon at Bethel when he dreamed of the ladder to heaven and the angels ascending and descending upon it, as narrated in Genesis, when he vowed that if God kept him in the way that he was to go, that stone should be God's house. In Genesis, we think there is a distinct reference to this stone of Jacob, whose name is also Israel, to the effect that the patriarch dying bequeathed it as a heirloom to Joseph, who inherited the birthright instead of Reuben, the firstborn. But the mistranslation of the 24th verse has deprived the message of its proper meaning, which is, from the time he, Joseph, kept the stone of Israel. We ask our readers to refer to the following passages in the Bible: Psalms 22-23, Matthew 42-43, Esau 16, Peter, Dan, and without robbing them of the least portion of their spiritual interpretation in reference to Christ, the true Rock of Ages, we would state that as we find all the symbols used in the Bible where realities refer to some particular object, such as the brazen serpent, the ark, the mercy seat, the tabernacle, the paschal lamb, the scapegoat, Aaron, etc., etc. So we see no reason for supposing that the stone so often referred to in the scripture was not some particular stone, material and tangible, but only to be taken in a spiritual sense. Leah fell, the Stone of Destiny. We cannot do better than give an extract from the genealogical account of the coronation stone by Professor A.C. Ramsay, LLD, FRS, Director of the Genealogical Survey of England, June 19, 1865. The coronation stone consists of a dull reddish or purplish sandstone with a few small embedded pebbles. One of these is of quartz and two others of dark material, the nature of which I was unable to ascertain. They may be Lydian stone. The rock is calcareous and is of the kind that masons would call freestone. Chisel marks are visible on one or more of its sides. A little mortar was in the sockets in which the iron rings lie, apparently not of very ancient date. To my eye, the stone appears as if it had originally been prepared for building purposes, but had never been used. See Psalms, Matthew, and Peter. It is very difficult to settle the geological formation to which any far transported mass of stone may belong, especially when the history of the mass is somewhat vague in its earlier stages. The country around Scone is formed of old red sandstone, and the tints of different portions of that formation are so various that it is quite possible the coronation stone may have been derived from one of its strata. It is extremely improbable that the stone has been derived from any of the rocks of the Hill of Tara, from whence it is said to have been transported to Scotland, for they, on the authority of Mr. Jukes, Director of Geological Survey of Ireland, are of Carboniferous age and do not present the texture of red colour characteristics of the coronation stone. Dean Stanley's Memorials of Westminster Abbey. The kings of Ireland were crowned on the above-mentioned stone. Leah fell from BC 580 to AD 487, when it was removed to Dunstafnage Castle in Scotland by Fergus More and used for the same purpose. Kenneth II, AD 840, moved it to Scone in commemoration of the last battle that was fought there with the Picts. Scone thenceforward became the Sedes Principalis of Scotland until 1296 AD, when King Edward I, having subdued Scotland, carried it as a trophy in triumph to England and placed it in Westminster Abbey. It is interesting to note here that at the Treaty of Northampton, the victorious Scots demanded, amongst other conditions, the restoration to Scotland of Jacob's Stone, which was consented to by Isabella and Mortimer in the reign of Edward II. The people of London allowed the regalia and crown jewels of Scotland to be taken from the town, but when the commissioners attempted to remove the stone from Westminster Abbey, all London rose en masse and resisted. The excitement and tumult was so great that the stone was left unmolested. Can our objectors account for this? Why should the stone have been made more precious to the Londoners than all the crown jewels of Scotland? On James IV of Scotland succeeding to the throne of England, he and its successors to the present time have been crowned upon it. In connection with his custom, Red Kings, and the king Josiah stood by a pillar and made a covenant before the Lord, also 2 kings. And when she, Athaliah, looked to behold the king, Jehoash stood by a pillar, as the manner was. And again, Chronicles, it is sufficiently certain, says the late Joseph Robertson of the Register House, Edinburgh, in a letter dated July the 7th, 1866, that from the beginning of our historical record, about the year 1100, the Scottish kings were inaugurated at a stone being placed in the royal chair of stone in Regum Sedum, Super Cathedrum, Regalum, Lapidem, etc. The oldest writer who tells the legends of the royal stone is William of Rishanger in AD 1292. He thus describes the coronation of King John Balliol at Scone. Johannes de Balliolo in Festo Sancte Andrea Sequente Collocatas super lepidum regalum, que Jacob supposurat capitae suo dum erat de Bersabi solamenta coronator. John of Balliol is solemnly crowned at the following feast of St. Andrews, having placed on the royal stone which Jacob had placed under his head whilst he was journeying from Beersheba. The next writer in the point of antiquity who speaks of the history of the stone of Scone, is John of Fordun, a canon of the Church of Aberdeen who was alive in 1386. He tells 2 stories about it. One is that Milo, king of the Scots in Spain, Scotai is translated wanderers by Sir Walter Scott, Hosea, gave it to his favourite son Simon Breck, Baruch, the first king of the Scots in Ireland, and that Simon Breck placed it in Tara, where it remained until it was brought to Scotland by Fergus, the son of Erc or Ferchard. He adds that, according to some, Gathelus, the founder of the race of the Scots, so named from his wife Scotta, daughter of King Pharaoh, brought the stone from Egypt to Spain. The other story is that Simon Breck dragged it up from the bottom of the sea, along with the anchor of his ship during a gale on the Irish coast. Both stories speak of the stone as a marble hewn into the form of a chair, in formam cathedrae decisum ex marmor lapidem. Let me add that there appears some reason to suppose that there was 2 stones at Scone, the stone of fate, Lea Fail, now at Westminster, a stone chair in which, it would seem, the stone of fate was placed when kings were to be inaugurated. Nothing is more certain than King Edward I carried the stone of fate to Westminster in 1296. Yet, in 1306, we read that King Robert the Bruce was placed in the royal seat at Scone, in sede positas regali, Dean Stanley's Memorials at Westminster Abbey. There was formerly a piece of wood or metal attached to this stone, on which was inscribed the following prophetic couplet: Ne fallat fatum Scotai hunc coconque locatum invenient lapidem regnare tenator ebidem. If fates go right, where'er the stone is found, the Scots shall monarchs of that realm be found. Sir Walter Scott translates as follows: Unless the fates be faultless grown, our prophet's voice be vain, where'er is found the sacred stone, the wanderer's race shall reign. It was one of these secular predictions, says Dean Stanley, of which the fulfilment cannot be questioned. Whether the prophecy was actually inscribed on the stone may be doubted, though this seems to be implied, and on its lower side is still visible a groove which may have contained it. but the fact that it was circulated and believed as early as the 14th century is certain. It, the stone, is one primeval monument which binds together the whole empire. The iron rings, the battered surface, the crack which has all but rent its solid mass asunder. Note this rock being a type of Christ. It reminds us of veil of the temple, which at his death was rent asunder. Matthew, Hebrews. Bear witness to its long migrations. It is thus embedded in the heart of the English monarchy, an element of poetic, patriarchal, heathen times, which, like Aruna's rocky, threshing floor in the midst of the Temple of Solomon, carries back our thoughts to races and customs now almost extinct, a link which unites the throne of England to the traditions of Tara and Iona, and connects the charm of our complex civilizations with the forces of our Mother Earth, the rocks and stones of savage nature. Thus we observe that the true, faithful, and covenant-keeping God of Israel has fulfilled his promise to David, literally, unto this day, in the person of our beloved Queen, the Empress of India, and spiritually in him, who reigned forever in the hearts of his people, every tribe and tongue and nation. Thus too we understand that the scepter is not departed from Judah, as foretold by the dying patriarch, Genesis, and will not until Jesus comes to reign personally upon the earth. Esau and Luke. All hail the power of Jesus' name. Let angels prostrate fall, bring forth the royal diadem, and crown him Lord of all. Ye chosen seed of Israel's race, ye ransomed from the fall, hail him who saves you by his grace, and crown him Lord of all. And that's the end of chapter 2, people. Pretty interesting, and I've seen stuff like that before in the past where it connects all the current royal family in Britain to the ancient Irish and the ancient Judaic. There is a link between them all. I'm not sure if it's bloodlines, but there definitely is some kind of link. Anyway, people, I will see you in the next video, chapter 3. Philological evidence. Philological evidence. Right, anyway, I'll leave the link for this book in the description if you want to read ahead, people. Cheers.